Good to have you. The Nigerian aviation industry in the outgoing year recorded less number of operating airlines than the previous years. Fewer number of operating aircraft, fewer number of people employed in the aviation industry, as many airlines went under and their workers lost jobs. But the industry still kept high record in air safety, which is a significant progress made since 2014. Also, the cost of airfares, both in the domestic and international routes, were relatively high. Foreign carriers continue to hold sway and determine the fares, as local airlines are not competing with them except in Dubai. And joining me in the studio to discuss how the Nigerian aviation sector fared this year and projections for 2020 is the CEO of AERO Contractors, Sanusi. Captain, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
All right. So, as you've heard, what's your general view about how the aviation industry fared in 2019, and what do you expect to happen next year?
Well, 2019 came with, as you said, most of the carriers have lost a lot of capacity. The number of aircrafts flying in Nigerian airspace reduced drastically. Some airlines went actually under, some are not flying. And the good thing about it is that the passengers' number grew. So that means the market is growing, and despite the fact that the capacity is shrinking, meaning the number of aircrafts flying in the country are reducing. Now that caused a lot of ripple effect, of course.
Okay.
It caused the cost of the tickets domestically to increase because the demand is high, but the supply is low. So the cost of the tickets increased, and the capacity for the airlines was shrinking in the year under review. But looking at the projection, or looking at what is happening now, to project 2020, I don't think there will be any significant change, because if there is going to be an increase in the number of aircrafts that will be operating in the Nigerian airspace in 2020, we would have seen by now the airlines, of course, ordering the aircrafts that they will operate in 2020. So looking at the projection, it's going to be a mirror image of 2019, maybe with an even decrease in the capacity of the aircrafts flying in the country, and then the increase of fares.
The increase of fare. You've just given us a grim outlook there for 2020, no doubt. So, still on the issue, do you notice a progressive decline of passenger traffic since 2015, as it were, and as 2014 still has the record, or the highest record of the highest passenger traffic in 6 years? So what's responsible for this disparity?
The economics of the actual economy of the country is responsible, because if people have disposable income and they want to fly for leisure, then they can do that. And then they have power to spend more by buying tickets. But of course, I can see more of the flights or passenger increase because of also the infrastructure of the roads and the railways that are not too good. So definitely people have to travel, and if they have to travel, they will have to travel by air. So I think that we might not surpass the 2014 figure, but there will be a steady increase of the passenger traffic domestically. But of course, internationally, we've been seeing an increase of travel internationally, of course, because of the economic activities in the country.
Indeed, and we've even seen, some major efforts in the railway industry right now, in trying to revive it. Do you think, to a large extent, that will also take a little chunk out of the shrinking figures
that will also take because most people now that will like to fly out of Ibadan. If Ibadan-Lagos Express, train express starts, then they will come to Lagos and probably not go to Abuja by air from there. So that will also shrink the market a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Still on it, the number of operating aircraft for scheduled passenger service has also declined, just like you alluded to earlier. So is there a correlation between number of aircraft and fares?
Yes, of course. It's the simple theory of economics, supply and demand. If you have a capacity that does not match up the demand, then the fares will go up. Because if I have, let's say, X number of seats that I'm going to sell to Abuja, for instance, and then there are about the Y number of passengers looking for that, and it's more than the numbers of seats that I have available. Of course, I would tweak the price in such a way that the highest bidder will get it. And that is what is happening now, because most of the flights are fully booked. And then you will now see in the airlines opening the upper buckets for the price listing so that they can get as much profit as they can.
When you say that they're fully booked, is it a seasonal thing or it's a normal occurrence despite the scenario?
Well, of course, we can't close our eyes for the season because of the holiday traffic. Most passengers come in from outside the country and they would like to go to their respective states and towns to spend Christmas and New Year with their loved ones. So that also contributed to the fact that most of the airlines are fully booked. But having said that, there is, I've seen an increase in demand of traveling into places like Abuja, Port Harcourt, because of the economic activities, the passage of the budget and all that will definitely increase the passenger travel. So you will see that the morning flights out of Lagos to Abuja, for instance, are usually fully booked. And you see that you hardly will see an airplane going to Abuja with probably 50% capacity or 50% load factor. So it means that the market or the demand is there. But
wouldn't you say, yes, the market is there, but isn't it a little bit restrictive? We seem to witness more high-density passenger movement between Lagos and Abuja, being the commercial and, of course, the main capital.
Yes, that's usually the main chunk of the travel. We call it the Golden Triangle. That is Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos. Of course, Abuja being the capital, and Lagos the commercial capital, and Port Harcourt probably because of the oil and gas sector. So yes, those are the usual travel routes, but we have other routes that are very, very vital to Calabar, for instance, because of the Calabar Festival. Up in the North, Sokoto and Kano and the rest are all coming up. This on the South markets also.
Now, based on the current scenario, what are the key factors responsible for the low investment in the aviation sector? I know it's highly capital intensive.
It's highly capital intensive, as you said, and I would say highly risky business.
Indeed, it is.
And investors don't want to invest their money. They usually gravitate to where the returns for their money is very high, and then the risk factor is very low. Aviation is high risk, low profit, and long-term profit. So I think the aviation investors, they are skeptical about going into investing in aviation, but it is a very good market. It is, as I said, is the last frontier for investment, at least for the aviation in Nigeria. We don't have a formidable carrier that we can boast of that is flying all over the country and making waves to at least partner with international carriers to even start co-sharing and everything. We only have a few airlines that are struggling, and the entire aviation sector is a vicious cycle. I would say the parastatals, FAN, NAMA, and the rest are also struggling, but the airlines are also paying these parastatals from the mega money they make so that they can provide the services. And so everybody is struggling. The service providers are struggling to give the services because the airlines are struggling to pay them. So I think there must be, we must break that cycle. We must look at a way of funding
a common ground among all the stakeholders.
Yes, exactly.
Very good, Captain. So let's talk about security now in terms of the lapses at the airports. You know, it's always a lingering issue when you come in and you compare it to what obtains abroad. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, you see, the main security problem that we have, it's the people, bridging security coming into the airport through the maybe breaking the fence and coming to the airport and trying...
Or lack of fence.
Or lack of the fence. Exactly.
We have cows moving on the runways and everything.
Yes, exactly. But I will say that a whole review of the security structure of the airports has to be, and part of it also is because of our culture. the way we looked at things very very simple and everything. But airport security is a very, very big business, and you must keep the airport secured. I think there should be a full change in the way we give on-duty cards to touts and everybody in the airport. We must have a very strict crowd control at the airport to make sure that...
When you even think about terrorism, the issue of terrorism in terms of the number of scanning machines and stuff like that, and how proactive the security personnel are in the airport as well. And sometimes you worry when you hear reports about people compromising security. Bribes and and all
bribes
that.
And everything, and I think and airport security is everybody's business.
It is.
You must report. You must, no matter how you see something that is abnormal, no matter how small it is, you must report it. And I think by now we should have CCTV on all the fences of at least the 4 major airports in the country.
So that's still a problem?
I think that is still a problem, because if you have CCTV in the entire airport perimeter, then when you see somebody intruding, you look at you quickly apprehend him before even he comes to the runway to say that he wants to enter the undercarriage, or he wants to enter the belly of the aircraft to fly to outside the country. And again, we like to make sure that we educate people. People don't survive if they try to travel without a ticket. I mean, by entering the wheel well of they usually die because the conditions there cannot support life. And they should know that. We should try and educate people that there is nobody that has survived living the country through that way.
Interesting, Captain. So there are key factors that determine profitability of airlines. The one is the cost of aviation fuel and maintenance. AERO has also maintenance facility. Is it providing the needed succor for other airlines as well?
Yes, when I joined AERO Contractors, one of the key elements we looked at is to look at maintenance, because one of the items, as you rightly say, that affects the survivability of an airline, it's to see that it can control its maintenance cost. And we have managed to build the first MRO in West and Central Africa that can cater for C-check for 737.
When you say MRO, what exactly is that?
Maintenance, repair, and overhaul.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so when we managed to successfully establish that can maintain aircrafts for Nigerian Airlines, and we've been doing that.
Good.
For the past 2 years, we have done a lot of maintenance for all the airlines that are operating in the country, thereby saving them a lot of foreign exchange that they would have purchased and taken the airplanes out of the country. And for any aviation industry to be sustainable, they must have a formidable MRO to support an airline, which we didn't have before now, and which also contributes to that 10-year survival of any airline in the country.
All right, Captain Sanusi, we will be talking more about this issue. That'll be right after this break. You're still on to a Global Business Report. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Good to have you back, and we're still talking the Nigerian aviation sector 2019 and beyond, and I've still got Captain Sanusi, CEO of AERO Contractors. Good to have you again. All right, let's look at other issues here. Earlier on, we were talking about the challenges, as it were, and all the outlook concerning the aviation sector. So do you share the belief that if nothing is done to bring more aircraft into the domestic market, as you highlighted earlier, flights could go as high as 70,000 naira for a one-way domestic flight?
Yes, it can go off to that.
What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, you see, the issue will be still the number of aircraft is shrinking. It's not that it's increasing, or it's not that it's constant. So if nothing is done, if airlines don't bring more airplanes into the country, there will be, prices will go up. If you remember, during Nigeria Airways, when it went down and the Cabo Okada came up, and they could not satisfy the market, it was chaotic. I mean, people were struggling to enter airplanes. People were breaking the stairs of the airplane at that time because they allow people to go into the tarmac. That won't happen, because now we have good security system that will stop people from entering the tarmac. But what will happen is the airlines, because they've seen the demand, will increase or will open the upper buckets where the prices will go as high as 70,000 naira per ticket.
Wow.
Per one-way ticket to Abuja, for instance.
We're trying to encourage people to fly, and when we hear stories like this,
so that's actually counterproductive, because we, of course, the airlines would think that they are making profit, but it's counterproductive, because in the entire sector, we're killing the sector. We're making it more difficult for people to buy tickets to fly. And the people that would like to fly will now look at it as it has to be really necessary for them to fly. And we want to encourage it. We want to stimulate the market. But if there is no capacity, then it will be counterproductive to allow the prices to go up for the demands that is there.
Indeed, Captain. You know, when you talked about the lack of having enough aircraft, as it were, it got me thinking, you know, shouldn't we have specific aircraft for like short-haul flights or long-haul flights? For example, we have turboprops. They're there. They're cheaper. Yes, you might not like the noise and everything, but those are options, alternatives. Why aren't we keen into that?
You see, the main problem is not even keen into smaller aircraft. The main problem for the airlines is to access funds that are cheap and they are long-term, so that they can go and get airplanes and come and put it in use in the country. So is it a problem of
you know, the banks, or in terms of the...
Yeah, the banks, and because of the history of the aviation sector, that shows that you borrowed money, you went to the bank, you borrowed money, buy the airplane, and you couldn't pay. Because first, the structure of the payment, you look at it 7 years, maybe maximum 9 years. And in other countries, you are looking at 15 to 20 years to pay. You're looking at 5%, 6%, maximum 7 to 8%.
But when you have a longer paying period, there is depreciation as well.
Of course, and most of the airlines internationally have a long period of time to pay. And what they do is they have a 15-year period, 5 to 7% interest rate. And at the end of maybe year 14, they return the airplane.
So it's flexible?
Yes, they return the airplane, give me a newer airplane, and they take a new airplane. Now that old airplane will come to us. We pay more for it.
It doesn't make any
I
economic
think,
sense,
yes, as a country, we should look at giving the airlines access to cheap funds, and also encouraging them to buy new airplanes, to go to the manufacturer, say, okay, we want, and with a leasing company or with a financial buddy, to say, okay, we need it for 15 years. After 15 years, you two return the airplanes to the company or to the leasing company and say, okay, I need a new airplane to continue with the process. And it can be done, because it worked everywhere else. It's only that the business model that we put here is to look at an old airplane that is probably 18, 19 years old, and the cost is low, and then you now go and import it, and then you use it for 5 to 8 years, and then you start.
It's not really helping the industry.
It's not really helping the industry. There must be an overhaul on the actual aircraft acquisition in the country.
As stakeholders, you know, in that business, are you making recommendations to the authorities, as it were?
Yeah, there are so many. You see, there's so many reports on how to have access to have Nigerian airlines have access to newer aircrafts and everything. But unfortunately, there has not been a deliberate implementation policy for these studies that have been done. I mean, I believe that if the Bank of Industry can come and say, okay, listen, we can finance 25 new airplanes from Airbus, for instance, and the airlines key into it with an interest rate of less than 10%, with a payment terms of about 15 years. I don't think any airline wouldn't want to do that. But you have to understand also the cost of an airplane could easily get to $100 million per aircraft.
Wow, that is a lot.
That's a lot of money. So we need to have, we need to go into, or we need to key into the global market in a way that a bank of industry can partner with, let's say, Afrexim Bank or some international banks that can do that and then share the risk. And of course, we must have also airlines that have good good corporate governance.
Indeed, interesting development, Captain. Now, Nigeria is not immune to international events, especially with the aviation sector. So let's talk about Boeing's current problems with the troubled 737 MAX. CEO Dennis Muilenburg also resigned not too long ago. And should Nigerian airlines be concerned? Because I think we learned some time ago we placed orders. One or two airlines did that.
One of two.
What's that scenario like?
Well, first of all, the 737 MAX 800 or 7 or 900 or 1000 that they have has a problem, which I believe the Boeing is trying to work it out, and they will definitely recertify the airplane in 2020, maybe mid or third quarter. But the airplane, actually, if you look at it, the economics is not good for the Nigerian market.
Okay.
That's to use it as a hub airplane. Lagos Abuja is less than an hour. Lagos Port Harcourt is less than an hour.
True.
The longest flight might be Lagos Yola or Lagos Maiduguri, which is probably an hour 15 minutes.
Okay.
And these airplanes fly optimally if they do 2 hours, 3 hours flight. So when you bring those kind of airplanes into the country and decide to do hub flights, you'll be maintaining, your cost of maintenance will increase and your profitability will reduce. So naturally, operators, if they look at the economics of flying MAX within the Nigerian sector, will not be profitable. So yes, the airlines should look at, of course, the economics of the airplanes. You talked about the turboprops.
Yes.
They are very good for this market.
Indeed.
We talk about an airplane that is a short-range airplane, 1 hour, 2 hours flight. You talk about those kind of airplanes like the A220 and the rest.
True.
But for the 737 MAX, I think also the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should also key into other global aviation regulators to see what Boeing has done to make the aircraft safe. So by the time they are recertifying the aircraft, the Nigerian Civil Aviation should be there present to know whether it's good for our market or not.
Indeed, and they also have to work on confidence building, because a whole lot of people out there won't fly that aircraft. If given a choice, they'd rather stay away from it until the regulators certify it fit.
Or maybe they will change the name. It will not be Boeing 737 MAX.
That's a good one. So how would you rate regulations and compliance in Nigeria's aviation sector? Are they in tandem with global best practice currently?
Well, we have come a long way. Are we where we're supposed to be? Not at all.
Okay.
We came from a point we wanted to move closely to Federal Aviation, FAA.
Okay.
Yes, of the United States, and we were going towards that direction, but I think we lost it when we started thinking of going with the European regulators. So we are now in between United States FAA and EU CAA.
So is there a major contrast there?
Well, there is a major contrast. Major contrast, because the regulators, from the FAA point of view, tries to give the airline a kind of self-regulations. You self-regulate yourself, while the European CAA would like to oversee what you do mostly. So while the FAA is a bit liberal to airlines, making sure that you have what they call an officer that is resident with the airline to make sure you follow the regulations. But on the European side, they would like to make sure that you actually follow the regulations. So I think for our CAA, what we need to do is to adopt one and follow it, rather than be in between the FAA, that's the US.
Indeed, and the reason I ask that, you find that sometimes it's rather disheartening when the American regulators will come and say, okay, fine, we won't allow aircraft to fly directly into your country because of one certification issue or the other, and now we have European models as well. So, it's a bit of a mixed bag there. All right, so there were concerns earlier on about a total radar coverage for the Nigerian airspace. So what is the current update on that?
I was smiling because we started when I was in NAMA, when I was the MD of NAMA, we started we kickstarted the project of total radar coverage of the country, which is called Tracken. And I think we've done, before I left NAMA, we've done a lot to make sure that the entire airspace is covered with radar, which is very good, safety-wise. And I think the radar is the radar system that we have now covers the entire country. Of course, there needs to be upgrade to make sure that it conforms with the international standards. The new international standard, of course, of radar coverage is very inexpensive and it's very effective. So I believe NAMA is going to move towards that very soon. Because NAMA must move towards that total radar coverage that is less expensive and is very effective in traffic control.
And briefly, in 30 seconds, your outlook for aviation sector in 2020. I know you've already hinted a grim outlook there, but
but if you look at what is happening now and you try to project what will happen in 2020, there won't be any difference. The only thing is I can see there will be some more aircrafts going off our radar, and then of course there will probably be maybe increase in flight fares.
Very good. And on that note, Captain Sanusi, CEO AERO Contractors, many thanks for joining us on Global Business Reports. Good to have you.
Thank you.